And there's the Victory Garden through the windows. And here's James's meal for today. It's pumpkin fajita with asparagus, because asparagus is on sale in the spring. And this is turmeric latte. It looks like James is going to talk about the Civil War some more. I'm going to talk a little bit about Vienna Blood Season 4, Smile 2, and Genie. And this is why we're talking about the Civil War, or James will be, because I've been talking about the Wizard of Oz. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know if it'll be more movie review than Civil War information, but
that's okay.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be more talk about Civil
War. Well, don't hurry to get to the Civil War thing, because I haven't finished it. There are parts of it that I've read 5 times now, but there are other parts of it that I haven't gotten to yet.
So I brought this out to show you. It's something a lot of you are familiar with. You're wanting to plant your seedlings, start your seedlings inside now. And if you want to save these things from last year's, well, they're hard to save. You have to clean them with a 10% bleach solution. And you have to get them pretty clean. So
now, why do you have to do that? Is that to prevent
you don't want diseases and stuff from because little seedlings are very susceptible to things that the bigger plants would be able to handle. So you might not have even noticed that your plants had diseases in the past, but the little seedlings, they will notice. So anyway, this makes it difficult to clean these and difficult to reuse them. Also, another thing that you might notice, and when you look at this, is you can save this container. It's really handy if you're like me and you're bringing plants back and forth into your porch, and where it's sunnier, or a spot, like that, that's not heated in your house, and then bring them in. So it's really handy to pick them up with these things. But if you look at the bottoms of these, you can see light right through, right? So there's really big holes, big drainage holes in the bottoms of these things that are made for seedlings to grow in. And
you've used other things as well, like yogurt things. Those aren't nearly as good, you think?
No, I think they're better.
They're better, okay.
See, the thing is, like, I have these around and I will use them as much as I can. A lot of the times I'll go to the stores and get the plants on clearance, and I end up with these things. And I will try to reuse them as much as I can.
But there's no way you buy them by themselves, right?
No. And you'll see them for sale right now this time of year. You'll see these things for sale, and people are like, "Oh, well, these are the right way to go, because these are what the people that I buy seedlings from, this is what they come in. So this is the best way." No, it's not. If you think about it, I've tried to think, well, why did they have them black in the first place? Well, if you're buying a seedling, this will cover up the dirt and stuff, right? So it looks cleaner when you're buying it. I was trying to think, well, could there be a reason? Well, it heats up the roots, which is good, because if you're wanting to start seeds, then most seeds, not all, but most need warm soil to start going. So if you have a black container, well, that's going to keep them growing better, right? But then I thought about it, well, really, these would be side by side on a table, and you wouldn't really see the container at all. So I don't think that's it. I think it's just so that it looks cleaner. But and if you own a greenhouse or something like that, oh, this is totally the way to go. You don't care that it has big drainage. You take a watering wand and you're watering big tables full of this stuff, and you want it to drain through, and you'll just keep watering, going over and over, whatever. Because
you definitely don't want standing water.
You don't want. Some of them will get too wet. Well, that wouldn't be good. You don't want to be checking every little sticking your finger in or whatever, or even lifting them and going, oh, is that wet enough, or dry, whatever. You don't want to be doing that. You can't if you're working. So you need the big drainage holes in the bottom. But what do you do when you're trying to reuse this stuff for gardening in your house? Well, I was going to bring out a big lid that I had that would work okay for putting this on. But another thing you can do is just put a plastic bag inside here and then put this in. And then that works out just fine.
So you put these over the plastic bag. It's kind of like a sandwich.
Because you don't want it draining through. What are you going to take these outside every time you want to water them? That's a lot of work. And you don't, and then you'll have to check to make sure, oh, have I overwatered this? Because you don't want standing water still. But you can use these. I would just say they're not the best thing. If you're a homeowner wanting to garden in your home, there are better options for you, and I have shown some. So I really like the, if you go to Costco, which I guess people probably won't want to be doing that now because it's American, isn't it? Yeah, but I used to get the containers for free because we'd get them from the, what do you call it, Salvation Army. They'd give away food and they'd give us the croissant containers. Well, I still have some from years past, but they're a little bit flimsy and they kind of fall apart a bit. So they're not the best of the containers that I've got for using as drip trays or as flats to start the seeds in. And this is delicious. I thought it wouldn't be good. When I first saw the turmeric latte package on discount at the Shoppers that is near my home, I wanted to get it because I thought, well, that would probably be healthy and I should be eating healthier now. And I thought, it's probably not going to taste very good. But it does. And I got it for a discount for 99 cents a package. And that was an incredible deal from different Shoppers. So, and I tried it in the past, like yesterday when we were drinking it, we drank it with soy milk in it. And that was really good. But I didn't make it with soy milk today. I wanted to see what it's like without it, because it does have coconut milk powder in it. So I thought, well, maybe it doesn't really need it. So
it tastes okay. Now, turmeric by itself is really bad. Well, I think it's healthy, but it tastes medicinal in the worst possible way.
And you might have been looking at my victory garden and thinking, oh, not so many plants now. Well, there's still a lot in there. And honestly, if I were to put every single plant that I have in its own separate pot, which I will eventually have to do, then it'll really be filled in. Plus, I'll talk about something else about the garden tomorrow. This is the thing I wanted to show you today. This is one thing that I wanted to show you just to give you options for, think outside the box for your gardening at home. This is great for greenhouse owners because it's cheap. There's hardly any material there, whatever. But I found that if you want something flimsy like this, that you can easily squeeze the plant out, if you eat cookies, the cookie things are better. And they're flimsy like this, but I think they're better than these too. The cookie plastic inserts that the cookies sit in. And I guess some of them would be different colors depending on the brands, but the ones that I got are clear, which I think is even better, because then you can see when your roots are up to the edge, and you can also see through the plastic whether your plant needs water more easily. Because you can, well, I could show you sometime what it looks like. But anyway, but yeah, if you own a greenhouse, this is great. If you are using them at home, there are better options. That's all. So I guess I'll talk about this really quickly.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay, you're enjoying yourself? James really likes the pumpkin fajita.
I'm enjoying eating them. It worked up a real powerful hunger.
So
I'm not pretty good watching this.
Yeah. If you want to know how to make the pumpkin fajita, it's really easy. I'll write down the steps in the notes about my video so that you can look. I make it in the oven. Anyway, Vienna Blood season 4. When I looked at season 4, I'm like, wow, I couldn't imagine that they were already in season 4, but here they are. And it's really entertaining. I enjoy watching it. I will keep watching it. So
it's a weird title, but I think it's actually the title of a classical piece. Maybe it's one of the Strausses. They were father and son.
Yeah. Well, it's murder mystery stuff. Yeah. And you know, I was feeling down, and I was saying, I was talking to God and my angels, and which I don't know if you've watched my videos before. I'm agnostic. How can this be that I talk to God and my angels? I'm really hopeful, and I do believe that there's something. I just can't. I don't know what it is. What I can. I know that I'm somehow being taken care of by whatever some people might call it, the universe, whatever. So anyway, I was saying, I'm feeling alone, and I wish that I had a mystery to watch, and I went to the library, and there it was, sitting on my hold, waiting to be picked up, and I was so thankful. So I definitely feel like I'm not alone right now. I feel very cared for, and that's wonderful. It's wonderful to feel that way. So I definitely feel the love. I just don't know what. I don't know what to call the love. Anyway, Smile 2. It says on here, one of the best horror sequels ever made. Well, this was actually better than the first one. I didn't like the first one if you watched my reviews in the past, so I don't know how much that's really saying. But, and the way that it started out, I was like, ugh. It said something like 6 days later. Well, it can't start out with 6 days later, because then I'm looking at that going, okay, well, does that mean 6 days after the last Smile movie ended, or what is that? 6 days later? You can't be a later if there's nothing to be later from. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't start it that way, but they did, and so that was annoying. But then, thinking of it after the fact, I'm like, well, did I recognize that guy? So maybe the ending that you get in this is not really the ending, given what happened at the beginning. I don't know. But anyway, it was scary, it was entertaining, there was a lot of singing and dancing, so it was sort of like a pop video that's a little over 2 hours long with scary stuff in it, but it was entertaining, and I really think a lot of people would enjoy watching this. It didn't feel too long, even though it was over 2 hours, just a little bit. So that says something for it, I think.
You're missing, just want to mention about having a start. It seems disconnected. There's one real key poem that starts and night and something or other forever. So at night and forever. You're wondering why he does that.
I don't know. So
spoiler alert: James Joyce is winning his wake. It's supposed to
that wind's
actually
roaring.
start with the end, and when you reach the end, you're supposed to start at
Go
the
to the beginning again. Yeah. So maybe that's what they were doing here, and so that's what I'm saying. At the end, you're thinking, oh wait, is that the person that I saw at the beginning? So that might be the case with this one. In any case, I think if you like horror movies, you'll be entertained. Whatever.
Well, that's the idea of horror.
Yeah.
So you get really scared if you're a kid.
Sure. Genie. So I laughed. Melissa
She laughed
McCarthy's
literally
so good.
many times.
Yeah. But why did it get bottom of the stack? Well, these other ones are better. And really, Melissa McCarthy was the only thing pulling this along.
I peeked in,
Yeah.
and her significant other, or whatever, looked and sounded pretty insignificant.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I don't know. There were some things that, like the part with her washing her hair. Oh my God, tears coming to my eyes. So funny. But does it really work? I can't
The whole
say. When the same, I can't say, or I'm going to give it away because you probably will want to watch it just for watching that. So,
If you don't like Melissa McCarthy, what's wrong?
what's wrong with you? Yeah, exactly. So, you'll want to watch it. So, I would say all of these three are worth watching. This one, not great, but whatever. Like, there's one part in the movie where he's like, I wish it could go back to the beginning or whatever, and it's like, okay, well that wouldn't work. You're sitting there going, they really needed to think the lines through better and stuff like that. Because back to the beginning, well then he'd be back to the beginning of time and there's nothingness. God created the da da da. Whatever. It's ridiculous. So, this one, the only reason this is worth watching, Melissa McCarthy. As far as I'm concerned. Now, I was going to mention The Wiz. I was talking about a lot of song and dance in Smile too. A lot of song and dance in The Wiz. And yes, you can have too much dancing. Oi, oi, oi. Not enjoyable. So I'm going to let James talk about the Civil War because I don't want to hog the whole camera time. So go ahead, talk about the Civil War. And you have 11 minutes and 40 seconds to do so. Yeah.
So folks in the United States, or anywhere in the world, frankly, almost all of you don't understand what Putin is doing. He's trying to, a lot of people say, oh, he wants to get right-wing governments, and no, he doesn't. He doesn't really care. What he wants to do is play a divide and conquer. In Europe, he wants to divide the states from each other, but he also wants to, as much as possible, divide the individual states up into their component pieces. I mean, it doesn't matter if that's to him. It doesn't matter if it's geographical or social. Like he'd love to see different religions going against each other within individual countries. So his ideal is to have the United States getting torn every which way, including but particularly between right and left wing. So that was the idea with him supporting Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. He wanted the extremes to keep off against each other. So Pauline was saying, I'm interested in the Civil War because of The Wizard of Oz, but I'm also interested in it because I'm reading The Red Badge of Courage, and of course you got Wizard of Oz, and I wanted to look and see where that, I have still haven't figured where the thing is presumably set. It's along the Rappahannock River, which is in the northern part of the state of Virginia, where they call it. Anyway, I'm just concerned about Civil War. I mean, we're close to having Alberta, sadly, become the 51st state of the United States under the tutelage of Danielle Smith, as I portrayed her. Donald Trump's called her, always wants to go down to Mar-a-Lago. I hope she doesn't give the Russian Calder treatment to the beds at Mar-a-Lago. So that's one of Donald Trump's kinks. Lord only knows what all of them are, and I won't get into Well, there's one that he's done with a beauty pageant. Contestants. Might have something to do with age and stuff like that. Crazy. At any rate, just going to mention, like Putin just loves it when people go out and torch Elon Musk's car, Tesla. Now, frankly, when I hear about Teslas being destroyed on the street that have already been sold, that sounds like something that Donald Trump or Putin agent would do, because Elon Musk isn't suffering from that. So, like for centuries actually, police and the progenitors of police, when they've been dealing with left-wingers in particular, these would be right-wing police, would commit crimes that were attributed to, oftentimes it'd be, graffiti or something like that. That'd be attributed to left-wingers, so they were just trying to make left-wingers look bad. Now, left-wingers have done a lot of bad things, in the last century, a little bit more. In the Soviet Union, China, People's Republic of China, on and on. But up until the Russian Revolution, they were basically, I won't say the good guys, but relatively good guys. And so, if you want to do something about Elon Musk, don't do anything illegal. Don't even go after like torching or scratching or keying stuff sitting in a Tesla parking lot. Just boycott. If you, it should be like making sure that his company goes broke. One of the stupid things about Elon Musk is the people who would tend to buy his vehicles, the Teslas, would be people who wouldn't support his policies or Donald Trump's policies or whatever. So I can't see how he can avoid going broke with his stupid little company and stuff like that. Now my suspicion is that he's actually been a Russian agent for quite a while. I don't think he's nearly as rich as he's being portrayed. And the Russians will bail him out if his company goes kaput. But at least then he'll have less money to deal with, and mess around with, and stuff like that. So he's.
Or China.
What was that? China bail him out? It's possible. China, I think, would be looking at the bottom line. They're not so much concerned, I think, with busting the United States apart using civil war. They'd be much more concerned about competing economically. I think they figure that they can take over the world. They've already moved in a major way into Africa. They're probably really dirtying things up in Southeast Asia and so on and so forth. So I think they're not nearly as desperate as Putin is. The thing that they'll be doing is what they did with a certain play. I'm not going to mention the name of it, but unleash it on the world, and that'll keep their competitors, i.e. Europe and the United States, who have, who knows what the United States is going to end up being under Donald Trump. And believe me, Donald Trump is thinking that he's going to live to be 90 years old, and he'll still be, doesn't matter, the vote won't matter 4 years from now. He'll try to have another insurrection and stuff like that, and Putin will just be a goody. Because again, if there's an insurrection and they avoid another election, 4 years down the road, a little less than 4 years down the road, there will be people, and I'm not talking about Antifa and stuff like that, the military in the United States will be forced to act. When there was something like a handover of power with Donald Trump, this is, I think, a little bit before the insurrection, Donald Trump was so stupid, he agreed to arrangement with the military to go to some sort of function outside of Washington, D.C., just outside of, it's called Andrews Air Force Base. Why was that? They didn't want him there if there was a coup. Because if there was a coup for Donald Trump, the U.S. military would have said, hey, he's here to Andrews Air Force Base. And we've got him in custody. See how that is? I'm the only person who figured that out. Why would they have it outside of Washington, for one thing, and on a military base, Andrews Air Force Base? So it's basically east or southeast of Washington, something like that. Washington, D.C., just outside of it. Andrews Air Force Base. It's there to protect Washington, and believe me, you know, if an enemy attack and stuff like that. There they were protecting Washington from the enemy within. But it's really that enemy within, Donald Trump. Along with Bernie Sanders, they're not really, they are traitors. They are really representatives of the secret emissaries from secret representatives of the enemy without, or an enemy without. There are lots of enemies, not just for the United States, but for democracies in general. And it's Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, fundamentalist Muslims. And when I'm talking about fundamentalist Muslims, I'm talking about people who believe in Sharia law. I'm not talking about people who are picking up arms and stuff like that. I'm talking about people who believe in the stuff that came down from the originators. One guy was saying it's secret. Oh, you know, like Newt Gingrich is nuts because he's saying don't let anyone who believes in Sharia law into the United States. He said, the Sufi said, you know, part of Sharia law is that I've got to worship like 5 times a day and so on and so forth. Yeah, you know, there were nice things about Nazi law. You got that? There would have been laws against people doing pickpocketing, people committing murder, people committing extortion, so on and so forth. Just because, you know, a collection of laws has good things in it doesn't mean it's a good legal system. Now, that is stunningly bad reasoning. What you look for are the worst aspects of the law. You're not misrepresenting the law when you look at the worst aspects of the law. Okay? So when you've got death for apostasy as part of Sharia law, that's evil. Okay? So here we go. Maybe 3 minutes?
No. 48 seconds.
Okay. So Civil War Dictionary, I'm going to be dealing with this on and off for the next little while. So I've read maybe half of it, and parts of it, of course, up to 5 times. It's quite good. It wouldn't be necessarily recommended for most people. It's almost 1,000 pages. Then there are a lot of entries who are just individuals like Higgins. Who's heard of Higgins? Hickory Hill? Okay. Wicked Family Plantation, you know. There's a lot of stuff that most people don't know anything about. A lot of stuff I don't necessarily want to know about, but I'm eventually going to go through it. Stay tuned.